It's not always possible to catch a serial killer before he strikes again. Some of them are so elusive, they kill for years before they are hunted down. Like Ted Bundy.
It was like coming out of some horrible trance or dream.
If there was one man that really scared me, it was Ted Bundy. And I really still don't know if I figured him out.
Seattle, Washington, 1974. Police investigate the disappearance of 6 female college students. 2 more were abducted in broad daylight. They were all young women with the same characteristics. All brunette, beautiful, and bludgeoned to death. Bob Keppel of the Seattle Police was in charge of the investigation and is still haunted by this case today.
He's really an enigma. Nailing down a real pattern with him would be really rough because, I mean, he had so many different approaches. You know?
Well, we didn't know anything about his approaches, and then when we started finding his victims, of course, we couldn't tell any patterns because all we found were bones.
Bundy was an animal, and anything else he wanted to be.
Bundy is really what I call a chameleon. Now, this guy could change his color to almost any situation. He's got so many faces, you know, he could be almost anything he wanted to be. He could be on a college campus looking the part of a young assistant professor. He could be a ski bum. He could be in a suit and tie, a young attorney. It really seemed that the guy could certainly change to fit almost any situation.
One of Bundy's favorite tricks to lure his victims was to put his arm in a sling and drop some books. He would ask the young women to pick them up. Then he would hit them with a short crowbar, drag them in his car, abuse, torture, and kill them, and then hide the bodies in the woods.
Girls in bikinis, long hair, short-framed females, and that was his style of victim.
I've come to feel that he's almost a profiler in his own right from profiling victims, because it seemed in any group like that you're describing, he could pretty much pick the ones that were going to be the most vulnerable. The choice of victims tells us a lot about the killer. Bundy was an example of an organized killer. He needed girls who looked alike. Maybe a killer like Bundy is a little easier to figure out because they have a master plan. But until you know that plan, they remain as hard to pin down as any psychotic killer.
When Ressler was asked to help in the design of the wanted poster, he was able to warn young, attractive women who fit Bundy's profile. When Bundy was finally arrested in 1978, Bob Keppel and Robert Ressler were among the first law enforcement officers to interview him.
He's the type of guy that you only get into his head when he's ready for it. We tried to go in, talk to him at his level or slightly below, because we were warned that if we ever got in a situation where we looked like we're talking down on him, it would close him off.
I was really afraid that he got deeper into my mind than I ever got into his. I still don't really know who was in control, and that bothers me to this day. Bundy was a master at his game.
Bundy's final ploy. He offered Ressler to become a consultant to the behavioral science unit. The master killer would teach his most attentive class. But the FBI turned down this deal. January 24th, 1989. The entire world is waiting for Bundy's execution. In his cell, the killer is reading a book. He knows the end is near. Outside, a crowd has gathered to celebrate his passing.
When the guards cleared out his cell after his death, they found one of my textbooks on serial killers. Bundy taught us one thing: you needed an organized effort to analyze them and their crimes. We had a cross-reference system. We could have connected his crimes much easier. With better profiles, we could have zeroed in much quicker. After Bundy, we made sure we created a national database that made all this possible.
After Bundy, the FBI understood the value of profiling.
Without criminal profiling, the investigators have no idea what type of person they're looking for. They don't know the age, they don't know the sex, they don't know the race. They have no ideas as to the personality of the individual.
Before profiling, agents were looking for ordinary forensic evidence, blood, fibers, or fingerprints to identify a potential suspect.
When a profile is available, it gives the investigator the ability to shortcut his investigations and to go right to the most logical suspect. And oftentimes that's your killer.
Robert Ressler has written extensively about the criminal mind. His experience with the most notorious serial killers is at the heart of his approach to profiling.
It all comes down to organized and disorganized. Gacy and Bundy made plans. They knew how to satisfy the urge to kill. They planned accordingly. Cairns acted out of compulsion. No real plan. All of this taught me one thing. You can scientifically classify these monsters. The criminal profile looks for the calling card or the business card that the killer leaves at the scene. You're looking at the position of the body, the condition of the body. You're looking for any ritualization or ritualized behavior at that scene. You're looking for the wound patterns. There's a great deal of difference between one stab wound in the heart and 50 stab wounds around the chest area, or actual removal of body parts, heads, sexual organs, things of that nature. There are many things that are left at that scene that give direct clues to the personality of the killer.
Ressler has also been a television and film consultant.
We all know from the entertainment media, from movies, that we might be looked upon as some sort of answer-all. He comes on the scene, he does a profile, the case is solved. It really doesn't work that way. The profile is one tool in the toolbox of the investigator.
During his years at the FBI, Robert Ressler had mastered this tool like nobody else. The FBI Training Academy in Quantico, Virginia. Since 1976, this is where Robert Ressler, John Douglas, and other early members of the Behavioral Science Unit taught young FBI agents the art of profiling. Here, he helped teach the next generation of profilers.
We're not social workers, we're not psychologists, we're not psychiatrists. We have backgrounds in many of these areas where we try to do...
Bob Ressler was one of the original thinkers in the arena of criminal investigative analysis.
Steve Band is the current head of the Behavioral Science Unit.
He was one of the original thinkers when it came to understanding that there is something different about individuals who are predators. The early view of victimology in relation to crime scene emerged on his watch. And he was one of the contributors to that concept of profiling as we know it today in the FBI.
The FBI is still indebted to Robert Ressler and his work.
The whole idea of going out to a prison and sitting down and trying to understand what made these people who were the most notorious serial killers tick, there's a tremendous amount of originality in that. Nobody had done this type of thing before.
But in essence, everybody at the FBI realizes that profiling is not entirely new.
Police officers and detectives have been doing profiling without giving it that name. And the fact that the FBI or a Bob Ressler or his associates have come in this last century or last couple decades and have organized some of the thoughts that detectives have been doing for hundreds of years, is that new knowledge? Is that magic? No.
Profiling is not the ultimate weapon against serial killers. At